Well, yeah, we're going to, our players will be off on Monday, but our staff will do a full game plan. We've already done a preliminary game plan in the offseason. We always do a preliminary game plan on the first 3 opponents in the offseason. So we have a game plan prepared, and what we'll do on Monday is go back through it and pretty much treat it like it's game week and have the game plan on Monday. Our kids will go out on Tuesday. We'll have a Tuesday practice with scouts, with cards. Then we'll come back on Wednesday, have a Wednesday practice with scouts and cards, and then we're going to go to Legion Field on Thursday. So yeah, we'll start to, we'll still be in training camp mode, but we'll start to hone in on the opponent on Monday.
What would be your general thoughts, your overall thoughts on how training camp went to this point? You know, the first 3 weeks or whatever, that part, kind of how do you feel like you got it done?
Well, I think we've got a lot accomplished. We've come a long way. We've still got 14 more days to prepare for the game, and we have to maximize every day. A lot of people have started to concentrate and come around me and say we're looking forward to the game, whereas I'm looking forward to today's practice, tomorrow evaluating the practice, coming back on Monday. We have to do what we have to do to maximize every day to give ourselves a chance to play well.
Have there been any areas that surprised you in a pleasant way that maybe you're a little ahead of where you thought you'd be at this point?
Well, we have more talent than I thought that we had when I took the job. When you're coming into a program that hasn't had much success, as a matter of fact, has not had a winning season in the last 5 years since, none of our kids have experienced a winning season in a UAB uniform. So as you take the job, you think that there's not much talent, and it's going to take a few years to recruit personnel and get really good players in place to win. Well, what I've been impressed with is we got a lot of talent. We have, size, speed, ability. We have that on our team.
I was just going to ask you, remember the very first time I saw you when you at your introductory press conference, you talked about how long you waited to hear your name called to lead a program, and so much has happened since then. You can see the emotion that you had that day about taking a program. What's your emotions like right now getting so close to leading your team on the field for the very first time?
Well, I think you start to concentrate. I mean, you're always concentrating, but your intensity level really does raise. Your focus as the head coach really does raise. Your commitment to getting things to come around, and your patience starts to go away a little bit because we're not in camp. It's time to start doing things right. It's time to start getting ourselves prepared to play well on game day. So a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that happen on a game, your tolerance level is, really short for as you get closer to the game.
You talked about the first 4 games of the season might be your toughest 4-game stretch of the year. How do you mentally get your team prepared, right out of the gate that you've got 4 really tough games to start?
Well, we're committed to being the best that we can possibly be on a daily basis. That's what we talk about. And if that's your commitment and that's what you're focused on, it doesn't matter who you're playing, it doesn't matter where you're playing, it doesn't matter if it's a practice session, a workout, a walkthrough, a meeting. None of that matters when you're committed to being the best that you can be on a daily basis. So, we haven't spent much time thinking about the first 3 games or our toughest opponents or anything like that. We just talk about getting better and being the best that we can be every single second of the day.
What kind of camp has Jonathan Perry had, and what are the areas you think he needs to hone or improve on before September 1st?
Yeah, well, that, like I said the other day, that position is really hard position to play. There's a lot that goes on when you're playing quarterback, especially in our system. We expect a lot from the quarterback. This is a quarterback-driven offense. He has the green light to get us out of bad plays, into good plays. I call it we run real football plays, which means he has to go through progressions. We don't just have plays where you can find your favorite guy and throw him the ball. The defense dictates where the ball goes. That's why in the past, all of our guys have caught the ball within this offense because the defense dictates who's going to get the ball. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it's hard for a first-year quarterback to, in our system, to pick it up. Also, the way that I coach the position, I think, is a little bit different. Jeff, also, we were trained by the same person, that we coach the position hard. We put pressure on the quarterback. He has to perform every day at a high level. And I put a lot of pressure on all of our quarterbacks to perform. That way, when the pressure shows up in the game, that they're used to it. And as a matter of fact, I take pride in putting more pressure on them than they're going to get in the game. So when they're out there on the field, they'll be glad that I'm on the sideline away from them.
Coach, would you say, from a newcomer's perspective and from a returning player's perspective, but that you kind of stepped up and surprised?
Well, I don't know that there's surprises, in regards to our freshmen. I got here early enough to get to know all the guys that we were recruiting, the guys that we wanted to save. There were a couple of guys that we let go. And then the guys that we went in and went after and had to win on in recruiting. So I spent a lot of time with each kid, and I pretty much knew exactly what we were getting into in regards to their personality, their attitude, and their commitment to being a good football player. So I don't have many surprises. I mean, we knew Jake was a good player. We knew that he was a competitor. We knew he was a winner. We knew he was a really smart kid. We knew that John Tavius and Roscoe were two really big physical athletes that could move around. I got a chance to go to their basketball game and see them play basketball. So I wasn't surprised. We knew that Kelton Brackett was a really good corner. He's physical. We knew that Vashon could really run. We knew that Devin Brown was tall and long. We knew Shaq Jones could really run and hit. So we're not really surprised with any of the newcomers. And then when you go through spring ball, with the veteran kids, you pretty much know what you're getting into in the fall. So I'm not surprised with any of them. I get to know them, and I know what to expect from them.
Coach, you guys have switched some positions as far as players you did in the spring. You did a season guy, you reevaluated players. How do you feel like that's gone so far? How do you feel like the guys have switched position, how they're doing?
Yeah, I think it really has. It gives us the opportunity to upgrade our team really fast. When you take Cody Payne and move him from defensive lineman to offensive line. You move Connor Boyette from defensive end to defensive tackle. Darius Powell went from receiver to corner. And I'm sure there's a bunch more that I'm forgetting about, but that just gave us an opportunity to upgrade our team immediately and put everybody in a position that they could help us really fast. Jesse Parrish went from defensive end to linebacker. He's a really good linebacker. So we're really happy with what we did. Our job was to come in and shuffle the deck and say, these are the cards that we were dealt. How do we get each kid in position to do what they do best and give us an opportunity to win immediately? And I've been pleased so far with the decisions our coaching staff has made.
Which freshmen and newcomers do you see making that immediate impact?
Well, outside of the guys that I just mentioned, those are the guys. Challenger's another one. He'll be out there playing. Shaq Jones, I mentioned already. Jake will be out there. Roscoe and John Tavius, they'll be out there. Grant Davis, the tight end, he'll be out there. Those guys for sure. But we got a lot of really good freshmen. We got some guys that are going to redshirt that are really good players. Just that we have experience and depth at the position that they're playing. So it gives us an opportunity to redshirt them and continue to build depth in our program. That's the reason they're redshirt. It's not that they're not good players. But the names that I called, those guys will be out there on opening night.
Is J.J. Nelson becoming more of a complete receiver instead of a guy who just runs fast? I mean, how much has he progressed a lot? Have you seen that progress?
Well, they're all getting better. I think that Coach Sig does a really good job with them, managing them, getting them to come out and play hard, get them to, what's hard about receivers is when you know that the chances are you're not going to get the ball on this play, but your responsibility to clear it out is just as important. And I think that Sig has gotten our guys to really understand the overall concepts of the passing game and understand that your responsibility here is to blow it out and get somebody else open. But JJ he's doing a good job. He's got a slight hamstring right now. He'll be fine by next week when we get going. But I think they're all developing into really good receivers. I'm impressed with them.
Was summer camp different for you this time as opposed to previous summer camps, or did you kind of get all that out of the way front?
Summer camp meeting with the high school kids?
No, training camp.
So ask one more time.
Was being the head coach of training camp a real different experience, or did you get that out of the way with spring practice?
Yeah, I've prepared my whole life to be a head coach. I thought at some point I'd be a head coach. Coach Petrino gave me a lot of opportunity at Arkansas and a lot of responsibility at Arkansas. So I'm not at all in awe. Like I said, I knew the responsibilities of the head coach was to lead the team, manage the program, set the practice schedules, making sure we're practicing the right things at the right times. So I'm not quite sure how to answer that question.
Coach, you've talked about the importance of attendance, and you wanted, I guess you mentioned home attendance records and that kind of thing, single game records. You obviously can't go out in the community now. Your job is on the football field. But what can you say to fans to get to come out and come to the first game?
Well, I think number one, we have really good kids in our program. We have kids that are students first. They're committed to getting an education from a really good institution. We haven't had trouble with our kids, so these are good kids. And when you have really good kids in your city that are committed to being a good football team, why wouldn't you go out and support them? I think that our ticket prices are reasonable enough that if we target the right crowd and the right people, that we shouldn't have a problem getting fans in our stands. And then, ultimately our team needs to run out of the locker room and play a really good brand of football and get people excited about coming to see us play. So it's a lot of our responsibility also with the way that we play the game to get people excited about coming out and seeing us play.
Coach, it's a good problem to have, but what we've seen through the spring game and the scrimmage last week is you've got 4 really good running backs. What kind of challenge is that going to be for you guys to find ways to get all 4 of them involved and get enough touches on the football field?
Well, I'm really fortunate in my experiences in the past. At the last place that I coached, we had 4 stud running backs. Wingo, Dennis Johnson, Niall Davis, Broderick Green, they were all studs. So we're experienced with this type of situation. When Jeff was with coach at Louisville, they had 4 really good running backs. So the different personnel groupings, there's ways for us to get 2 of them out there at the same time. It also helps with the competition, that if you don't play well at practice, that we change the depth chart immediately. So you have to focus and concentrate and play at a high level every single day, or we can just put another guy in. And that's a good thing. It's always a good thing.
You feel on the offensive line that you guys are headed toward getting the depth that you need, or kind of what do you think about that?
Well, it started with getting a really good offensive line coach. We were able to get John to come. He played offensive line, so he can see right through their helmet, understand what they're thinking. We're fortunate to have Jake as a graduate assistant for us, because Jake obviously started, I think we got a ball in our office that says Jake started 45 straight games in a row or something at center. So that's where it starts. And then it's about the commitment, the progression that we teach them, the installation package and how we go about teaching them, the schemes and the techniques. But I'm really pleased. I think that, like I said, with Cody coming over, John Hicks is a really good center. He understands leverage, he understands angles, he understands defensive fronts. And with the way that we flip our offensive line from the strong side to the quick side, it gives us a chance to plug people in certain spots that only have certain roles. You only have to focus on one side of the defensive front or coverage. You don't play on the weak side and the strong side. So that gives us an advantage of developing an offensive line really fast.
One guy that you talk about when you're moving guys, Aaron Green moved midway, and it seems like he's running with the twos a lot. It seems like how's he progressed?
Yeah, Aaron's a really good offensive lineman. I really appreciate he came in my office one day and said, "Coach, man, I played offensive line in high school. That's my position. I really feel like I can help the team at offensive line." And not many people want to play offensive line now. You don't get any glory at offensive line. And then so we put him out there one day, and he did a really good job. He's a natural offensive lineman. So we're really fortunate. There's another guy that, it's like getting a junior college transfer almost. A kid that's already on your team playing a different position, you move him over, and he's a natural at the position. So we're really excited about him. He's young, which means he's going to be around here for a while. But I expect them to help us early in the season.